So one of the victim blaming tactics we wanted to discuss is the you should know better by now. It's on you. Okay, the first couple times I get it, but the third time it's your fault. And this is so, first of all, it's such a boomer thing. A lot of boomers say it. No disrespect to the boomers who actually are up to date with humanity and human rights. But this is such an archaic form. Unfortunately, I'm seeing it in um, even younger generations, and I'm appalled. I have unfollowed people when I've seen this. It really repulses me. So it is never your fault that you were victimized. And the fact that you were repeatedly victimized, if you experience repeated victimization, is a state of the world. It's not on you. Okay. And this is just, it really, this one grates me. This one really gets to me because um as someone personally who has been trafficked since I was a child, trafficked again in my teen and adult years, and I have survived cult abuse, I have survived multiple assaults. And so the fact that society thinks that they can be like, and first of all, not everyone even gets to the first assault with empathy. Okay. So a lot of people in society just automatically blame women or female born bodies, um, or quite frankly, any gender who's assaulted. They suddenly, it's their fault. It's their fault. Some people still don't believe that men can get assaulted. So we're in a very we've stayed in a very disturbing victim blaming when it comes to assault to begin with, but multiple assaults and multiple victimization. People don't take the time to be like, what's wrong with their abusers? They use it as a weapon against those who are abused. And that's just so appalling. But it really is such reflection of the state of society. And that's what we want to really point out is victim blaming is a reflection of the state of society, not of the victim. And I am also even more appalled when I see women pointedly say these things to other women. And it's pretty heinous. And quite frankly, in my personal opinion, it is another form of abuse. And it just becomes the societally, so, I don't know if that's the right grammar. So I'm just going to take just poetic license here. But um, it is backed by society, we'll put it that way. This is backed by society. It's an abusive way to be because most of society will back you if you say that to a woman. Okay, girls, I get it. But at some point, you got to look at what you're doing. First of all, that whole way of talking, not one part of that is empathetic. And I've seen women of cross cultures do this, and it's really disturbing to me because the tone of that is just so completely off to begin with. You're talking to a trauma survivor. None of that is trauma informed. You're not coming from a space of how can I support you in this moment? You have suffered. How can I support you? Let me just listen. There's no listening there. It becomes a wall, and it becomes just this exclusion of survivors. I've also seen it with women who were assaulted back to back and then were blamed for this repeated assault. And we've experienced repeated assaults ourselves, but we've seen it openly talked about in forums where they're like, okay, but what's wrong with you? Where the fuck is the question, what's wrong with the rapist? What We need to focus on that. Stop victim blaming people when they are assaulted. If you have an empathy limit as to how many times a person can get assaulted and you give a shit, that's a you fucking problem, not a them problem. Stop projecting onto survivors your lack and your limited capacity of empathy. Now, if you don't have the spoons to process, say you don't have the spoons, you're like, wow, I don't really understand, nor do I have the spoons to fully process all of what this means, but I hope you're okay. Just own it, own where you are. But to, and also, I guess that's context too, because if someone was just assaulted and you're like, I don't have the spoons, like, leave that person alone. Don't be their friend. But what I mean is to just own your shit. Stop putting your shit into victim blaming. It's not powerful. You don't look powerful. You don't look competent. And you're definitely not being supportive. So if you are somehow getting an ego boost by shaming victims or telling them that there's a limit to how much you can give a shit that they were hurt, that's on you. Sounds like a whole lot of empathy problems. And if there's some trauma there for you, address that. Say, you know what? I've been so traumatized myself. I don't even know how to process this, but I hope you can get safe and I hope you're okay. Is there something, like there are just ways of having this conversation that are trauma informed. And you don't have to go out and get some kind of like trauma informed certification. A trauma informed is part of listening and learning and giving a shit to slow down to where your like unbalanced ego doesn't get in the way. And I'm not saying that as some kind of superiority conversation. Like egos get unbalanced all the motherfucking time. That's not the issue. The issue is when we start to reclaim and set ourselves back in balance with these things and learn and humble ourselves in order to do that. So this whole victim blaming tactic of it's at some point like, oh, well, at some point this is your fault. That's bullshit. It's never your fault. It really isn't. And the fact that you're being harmed so much is a fucking pointed message about how our society is running. This isn't about. And I really wish we could focus on the predators instead of hiding them, instead of shaming people who are assaulted, shaming women who are assaulted, shaming people of any gender who are assaulted, and then telling them it's their fault. You have less empathy for them. Fuck that. So if you ever come across this in people, and unfortunately you might, because it's pretty rampant in society, you have every right to be like, your limited capacity of having empathy for my trauma and my assault has nothing to do with me. And walk the fuck away. Walk the fuck away. So, hope that helps. We'll be sharing more of these. We'll be deconstructing more of victim blaming tactics and trauma silencing tactics, and we hope these help.